The Lion King 2-0. In the heart of the Pride Lands, where the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, sat Simba, the majestic lion, king of the Pride Lands. The wind caressed his face, whispering tales of adventure, stirring a sense of restlessness within him. Despite the lush grasslands stretching as far as the eye could see, and the gentle murmur of the nearby river, something was amiss. It wasn't the war or the absence of strength that bothered him. No, it was something different, something he couldn't quite put his paw on, an unexplainable feeling of incompleteness. Simba had conquered the enemy. His father's soul had found peace, and his pride thrived under his benevolent rule. Yet a part of him felt like a puzzle missing its final piece, a melody with a note left unsung. Just then, Zazu, the ever-faithful hornbill, swooped down from the sky, interrupting Simba's contemplative silence. "Your Majesty," Zazu began, his voice echoing with urgency. "There's been a most peculiar development. A strange cave has appeared today at the edge of the elephant graveyard. None knows how or why it came to be here." Intrigued, Simba's ears perked up. His emerald green eyes, usually reflecting wisdom and tranquility, now glistened with curiosity. "Well," he mused aloud, "that sounds intriguing. We must investigate." Zazu nodded in agreement, but couldn't help but add a note of caution. "But sire, the elephant graveyard is no place for a king to roam alone. It's uncharted territory filled with unknowns." Simba, however, was already on his way. He couldn't resist the allure of the unknown. With a playful glint in his eye, he said, "Nonsense, Zazu. What's a little danger to a mighty king?" And so, accompanied by the chirping of Zazu, Simba set off towards the newly formed cave. The entrance was dark and foreboding, but curiosity outweighed Simba's caution. He stepped inside, leaving the familiar warmth of the sun behind. As his eyes adjusted to the dim light, he noticed a change in the air. There was a heaviness about the space, a sense of history pressing down on him. The walls were adorned with intricate carvings depicting scenes from a bygone era, each telling a silent story of times long past. And then he saw it, a tunnel carved deep into the rock, beckoning him forward. The passage was narrow, forcing Simba to stoop as he walked. The air grew cooler, the light dimmer, but he pressed on, driven by an insatiable curiosity. As he ventured deeper, the tunnel opened up into a vast cavern. In the center stood a majestic waterfall, cascading down moss-covered rocks and disappearing into the gloom below. But it was the sound that truly stole Simba's breath away. A soft, rhythmic humming resonated through the cavern, like a lullaby from a forgotten age. As he stood, mesmerized, the humming ceased, and a deep voice echoed around him. "Welcome, Simba, son of Mufasa, king of the Pride Lands." Startled, Simba whirled around, searching for the source of the voice. But there was nothing there, only the waterfall and the expectant silence. "Who's there?" he called out, his voice echoing in the vast emptiness. A low chuckle rumbled through the cavern. "I am the guardian of this place, a keeper of secrets long buried." Suddenly the waterfall shimmered, and from its misty depths emerged a regal lioness. Her fur was the color of moonlight. Her eyes shone like golden embers. She stepped forward, her gaze fixed on Simba. "I have been waiting for your arrival," she said, her voice as melodic as a nightingale's song. "You seek answers, little king, but be warned, the truth has a way of setting spirits free, for good or for ill." Unshaken, Simba met her gaze. I am ready, whoever you are, he declared, his voice echoing with confidence. Tell me what I need to know. The lioness inclined her head in acknowledgement. Very well, young Simba, she said, her voice softening. Close your eyes and listen, for I have much to tell you. And so the ancient lioness began her tale, her words weaving a tapestry of forgotten history. She spoke of a time when the circle of life was not as clear, when the balance between predator and prey teetered on a knife's edge. She told of a great flood that ravaged the land, causing chaos and despair. And then she spoke of a prophecy that foretold the return of a great king who would restore order to the circle of life. As she spoke, images flickered in Simba's mind, showing him visions of the past, moments from his own life. He saw himself as a cub, carefree and full of wonder. He saw his father, Mufasa, teaching him the ways of the king. And he saw the tragedy that befell his family, the betrayal, the stampede, and his own banishment. But there was more. He saw glimpses of his ancestors, their faces noble and proud, their eyes filled with wisdom and strength. He saw the spirit of his father's father, a great lion whose roar had shaken the very foundations of the earth. With each passing moment, Simba felt a growing sense of connection, not just to his past, but to something greater, to the legacy of kings that flowed through his veins. As the ancient lioness continued her tale, Simba's understanding deepened. He learned that his role as king was not just about ruling. It was about protecting, guiding, and ensuring the balance of nature. He learned that true strength lay not in brute force, but in wisdom, courage, and compassion. Finally, the ancient lioness fell silent. The cavern was still, allowing the weight of her words to settle upon Simba. He took a deep breath, his eyes shining with newfound understanding. Thank you, he said, his voice filled with gratitude. I understand now. My duty is not just to rule, but to protect the circle of life, to maintain the delicate balance of our world. The lioness nodded, a hint of pride in her eyes. Yes, Simba, you carry the legacy of great kings within you. Use it wisely, for the fate of the Pride Lands rests in your paws. As if on cue, the waterfall shimmered once more, and the lioness vanished, leaving Simba in the echoing silence. Stepping out of the cave, the daylight felt different, as if a new layer of meaning had been added to the world. He looked out over the Pride Lands, no longer just a king, but a guardian of a legacy, a protector of the circle of life. He had found what he'd been missing, a deeper sense of purpose, a stronger connection to his past, and a clearer vision for his future. His adventure into the unknown had brought him home, and so Simba, the great king, continued to rule with wisdom and compassion, ensuring that the circle of life continued to turn, knowing that he was not just a king by birthright, but by choice, by courage, and by the strength of his roaring spirit. Simba returned to his kingdom, forever changed by his journey into the heart of the earth. The whispers on the wind carried tales of his adventure, and the stars seemed to shine a little brighter, as if celebrating the return of their young king. From that day forward, Simba ruled with a newfound wisdom and strength. His roar echoed across the Pride Lands, carrying with it the promise of protection and balance. The animals thrived under his watchful gaze, and the circle of life continued its eternal dance. Yet Simba never forgot the lessons he'd learned in the caverns below. He remembered the importance of facing one's fears, the power of embracing one's past, and the strength that comes from understanding one's roots. For Simba, the great king, had not just discovered a new part of his kingdom, he had discovered a new part of himself. And so the story of Simba, the Lion King, echoes through the ages, a tale of courage, wisdom, and the enduring power of the circle of life. In every sunrise and sunset over the Pride Lands, his spirit lives on, reminding all who hear his roar that even in the darkest caves, the light of courage can shine through, and that the greatest adventures often lead us back to where we started, but in a way that we could have never imagined.